Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new series in Works and Resources Soviet Republic. Today we are beginning a completely fresh journey on the island of Severna. Now, some of you may already know Severna. It's a fictional nation I've been building on and off for years through various saves, stories, maps and projects. But this time I want to do something different. Rather than focusing purely on the game, I want the series to be part city builder, part alternate history, part world building project, and part casual discussion as we gradually build the entire nation from the ground up. And unlike previous attempts, we're starting with a completely clean slate. So, before we begin building, we need to understand where Severna came from. Now, Severna is a small island located in the North Sea. For centuries, it was sparsely populated. Small fishing communities occupied the coastline, whilst much of the island remained wild and isolated from the rest of Europe. The island's most notable landmark was the Church of St. Sevrena, a large church overlooking the sea. Built centuries ago, it served generations of fishermen, traders and sailors who passed through the island. Everything changed during the Second World War. Due to its isolation, location, its strategic position in the North Sea, Severna was selected as a military storage depot. Vast quantities of fuel, ammunition and military stockpiles were stockpiled across the island. Various warehouses, fuel tanks, barracks and service facilities were constructed, transforming what had been a quiet island into an important logistical hub. Then disaster struck. In 1944, there was a catastrophic explosion occurred within one of these storage complexes. To this day, historians debate exactly what happened. Some blame an accident during handling, others suspect sabotage. Whatever the cause, the resulting chain reaction devastated the island. All of fuel depots ignited, ammunition stores detonated. Much of the settlement was obliterated in a matter of minutes. When the smoke finally cleared, almost every significant structure on Severna had been totally destroyed. Only one major building remained standing, the Church of St. Sevrena. Damaged but intact, it became a symbol of the island's survival and remains one of Severna's most important historic landmarks. Following the war, the island was largely abandoned for more than a decade. Nature slowly reclaimed the ruins as the world moved on. Then, in the late 1950s, Severna received a second chance. Geological surveys discovered significant oil reserves on and around the island. A consortium led by BP established exploration facilities, drilling operations and eventually crude oil export terminal. Workers arrived from across Europe and beyond. What had once been an abandoned island rapidly became a growing industrial outpost. By the mid-1960s, the oil industry was thriving. New roads were built, temporary settlements expanded, tankers regularly departed carrying crude oil to refineries across Europe. Well, as years passed, something unexpected happened. The workers who had arrived to extract oil began building community. Families were created, children were born, friendships formed between people from dozens of different nations. The island was no longer simply an oil project. It was becoming a society. By the late 1960s, calls for self-governance were growing. Workers increasingly wanted control over their own future rather than remaining under a distant corporate management. The movement remained overwhelmingly peaceful. Workers from Britain, France, West Germany, the Netherlands, Scandinavia and many other nations joined together in support of the greater autonomy of the island. Neither BP nor the governments involved wished to be seen as suppressing what had become an international movement for self-government. Negotiations followed. In early 1970, an agreement was reached. Administration of the island was peacefully transferred to its residents. The Republic of Severna was born. And this is where our story begins. Today, Severna possesses a small oil industry, a crude export terminal, and a modest treasury inherited from its previous administration. Oil is flowing, ships are arriving, and for the first time, the people of Severna have an opportunity to determine their own future. The challenge facing us is simple. We have a country, but we do not yet have a nation. There are no towns, no schools, no hospitals, no government ministries, no transport network, no infrastructure capable of supporting modern society. Everything beyond the oil industry must be built, and that is exactly what we're going to attempt throughout this series. Our goal is to establish the economic foundations of the island. We will expand the oil industry, construct refinery, improve export facilities, begin planning the location of Severna's first permanent town. If all goes well, revenues generated here will finance everything that follows: the roads, the railways, the industries, the cities, and perhaps one day a prosperous nation of hundreds of thousands of citizens. So welcome to Severna, a small island with a remarkable past, a nation with an uncertain future. Let's begin.